Hello and welcome to another episode of Squirtified Engineering. I'm Sprutis and I'll be your host for this episode. So if you are like me interested in everything engineering, do-it-yourself vehicles, engines and so on, then please consider subscribing so you can stay up to date with all my different projects. Now this episode is a special one as it's number 100 about my Supra. So the idea has always been that I would make some episodes about the work that I did before I started this channel, but since in episode 97 I showed you the stuff that I've been saving over all these years, the ideas that I have and what I will be doing or trying to accomplish during this winter season where I'm not driving or having my car outside. So that's trying to describe cut. So that's like describing how you get from point A to B without ever declaring where point A is. You're basically in vacuum, and how will you ever be able to get to point B if you don't have a starting point, like with anything in life? So the initial idea was to divide all the previous work into separate episodes, because I started with this project when I got it in 2008, so I've had it for now more than 12 years, quite a long time. And this paint job, or the part of the paint job that I've shown you on this channel, has been active since August 2019, and I actually started the paint job itself in the fall of 2014. So it's been going on quite a bit, but that also means that I had 6 years before I started on the paint job where I did a lot of different things. I think I've modified every piece of my Supra. Something like that. Since I want to have it have the separation between everything and so on, I don't want to sort of show you too much, but I want to show you something so that you know where point A is, so where we are, at least so that you can grasp what we are continuing from. Because I guess many people who are watching this maybe thinks that I bought my Supra in the way that you've seen it on the channel, but it was actually stock. But I have divided this episode into a few different categories, so we will start from the beginning. Initially, when I started looking for another car, it wasn't really planned. It was more like the previous project sort of reached its limits. So if I were to continuing from that, I would need to go a bit on the extreme side, which I didn't really felt like doing at the time. But and at the time I had two cars, two Mazdas, and one of them was from the 80s, so the idea I had was to convert it to rear-wheel drive. And I was actually looking into buying a drivetrain from a BMW E39 525, and then just transplant everything over, which would mean that a lot of the floor and so on would be rebuilt, meaning that some of the rust that had started to come back after my first renovation of the car would be removed, and I would anyway make it stronger. But then I stumbled upon an ad for this Toyota Supra Mk3 1989, and it was owned by a woman who she had broken up with her boyfriend, and she needed the money and needed to get rid of the garage, which the Supra was sitting in. So I went there and had a look. Actually, that's not true. I terrorized her with questions and bad bids for some time, and eventually she sort of leaned towards my bids. So I got to go there and have a look at the car. And since I now had the idea of taking this drivetrain and putting it in my Mazda, I didn't really care so much about rust and faded paint and so on. I knew that I could renovate the drivetrain. I knew that I could eventually even make my own subframes, but that would mean that I had something to start with. So what you're seeing now is the first pictures that I took of my Supra after buying it 50% off. Yeah, that's how much I haggled. And these pictures are taken when we were driving away from the previous owner, and I had to fill up on fuel. The only problem now was that on the drive from the previous owner, I sort of fell in love with the car, and I even had I spun out a little bit in an intersection. This is my first car with rear wheel drive, so it was fun. But yeah, so I then needed a garage because I couldn't take on this renovation with like I've done my previous cars, and unfortunately at the time my parents didn't know about this car. It was sort of an unplanned purchase. I sort of got in too deep, so I couldn't really get out. But I'm not regretting a single second of that decision. But the pictures you're seeing now are taken with my Canon EOS 350D, so my first SLR, and it's outside a friend's garage. And as you can see, it's I believe as stock as possible, but the seats, they were bad already back then, so it's not neglect or anything from my side. The only difference is that the guide for the seat belt is broken off, thanks to me. I was leaning the seat and accidentally grabbed the plastic guide, so it broke off. And now you're seeing my Supra again outside my friend's garage, and It's in the, well, it's almost winter, or no, it's winter, but we don't have as much snow as you would expect. But I bought it on 28th of November, so this is sometime in December. There are some rust areas underneath the car. Mostly of what you see here is the exhaust, which anyway can be replaced. So here is the Supra with the car it's replacing, which was a Mazda 626 with some modifications, and that Mazda replaced this one. I do have better pictures on it, but I'll leave that for another time. The body of my Supra has received a lot of repairs, as you can see. So in this picture you see the rear arch and also a piece of the inner fender which has been replaced, and I didn't want to risk it, so every rust spot was cut out and replaced with clean metal. You can also see that I'm cleaning off the paint and sealer from all the metal seams, joints, because I am welding these intermittently. So a weld of 5 centimeters and or something like that, maybe 2 centimeters, and then space for 2 or 5 centimeters, and then another weld, and so on. And you can also see that a part of the spare wheel holder is removed, and here you see on the other side I had to repair some rust. The entire inside of my Supra was cleaned out from all the sound deadening that the car came with from factory, which was quite a lot. The majority of holes in the floor were welded shut, and all the beams in the floor was also intermittent welded. Here you see the underside of my Supra, and I've removed everything just in order to find any rust spot there is and remove everything completely. Very time consuming, but I used a heat gun and a spatula to remove it, and then a rotating wire brush to remove the residue. Here you see the front left wheelhouse. So my Supra had received an extra anti-rust treatment. I also found some papers about this that came with the car. Since it's so thick everywhere, I mean, in some places it was well over a centimeter. So I removed all of it, and the trash bags, they would break when I tried to lift them because it weighs a lot. I took out as much as possible. So here you see that the dash is out and the crash bar. The crash bar is in raw metal, so untreated. I didn't like that. It had surface rust, so I took it out and painted it. And don't worry, all the electrical grounding spots and so on were treated in the appropriate way. And now you see that the spare wheel holder is restored. It's not finished in this picture, but where you see the flat metal is where I prepared an area for the battery. So that's where I have the battery now. And since the threaded piece for holding down the wheel is very much welded to the body, it's not just these factory spot welds, it's actually welded seams. I did add some extra seams on the other stand for it as well, so I'm using that as my ground spot for the battery. As my friends will say, the side trims on any car I own comes off quickly, and here is the reason why they came off the Supra. If you have seen the stock trim, then it's a thinner rubber trim in a track, and it was missing on some side moldings, and it was bad in some other, and so on. So I removed it completely in order to make the side moldings flat. This was done many years ago, so it's holding up great. It's just that I haven't been able to mount anything on the car. And here you see the one of the reinforcement beams. It was a bit too rusty for my taste, so I removed it, removed the rust inside it, and then welded it back. And the blue that you see is weld through primer, so it won't be affected by the welds. A childhood friend of mine, Henrik, who is the artist producing this fine art, and also taking the photo where I'm admiring his art. He also took some more pictures of me when I was working on the Supra. So here you see where I'm fixing the rear arches, making it line up with the side moldings. And of course, always when I'm, not always, but many times when I'm welding, something starts to burn. And my friend was able to catch it when I was burning through the arm of my sweater. When it came to painting in this garage, I was allowed to do it, but I had to build a tent for it. So I bought a few extra tarps and made this thing. Its odd shapes comes from the hood being open, the trunk lid being open, and there's an engine hoist holding up my engine because the front subframe is removed. I had a lot of different materials doing this picture of yours truly. I did have some protective clothes, at least during the primer stage, which is very yellow. Once the primer had dried, I would use seam sealer on every seal possible, both inside the car and from the outside underneath. Of course, I had to use a red paint for the inside at least. I also painted the sides, well, at least the passenger side in some areas. My Supra got treated with protective underbody paint. It's sort of rubber based, so it won't be dissolved by if I have any oil leaks. And eventually I just painted the entire rear fenders, wings in red as well. So this is from the first test drive. A few friends were there to help me, and the guy in the yellow cap, you will see him later on as well. But yeah, I was very happy. This is 2 years after starting the project. The first drive where I'm driving without the targa roof in place. But we reinstalled the targa roof and went to the gas station. And since the suspension was not really adjusted, I went sideways the entire way. Then we are in the previous garage where you've seen most of my videos from. Like most of you, I wanted the nicer JDM or US spec taillights. I can't remember which one I have, but I bought them quite early, so I have had them for many years. In the new garage, I decided to fix the rear arches in a better way, because I had used a universal lip, since there aren't any replacement panels for these cars. But I went with the Opel Calibra rear arches. Just had to modify them a bit, and I think it worked out well. So here we have some of the suspension arms. Some of them are grinded and cleaned, bushings removed. Well, just to show you that everything is being taken apart. While doing so, I also took a lot of measurements so that I can build a CAD drawing out of everything. These are the subframe bushings for the front subframe. I did not do the drawing for these. There was someone on a forum who already had made these, so I just used his drawings. And here you have some proof of me doing the work. This work is done at KTH, the Royal Institute of Technology. Same as you saw on my t-shirt from the Formula student team I was in. The rear subframe, it's quite a big piece, really hard to remove all the rust and paint and so on. I think if you look closely, you will see that I had to open up the mid beam in order to weld the nuts for the front diff mount. So then we have the suspension arms again, which have been in a bath, electrolyte bath, which I made myself. And as you can see, it's dirty. It's actually rust particles that you see. I even went so far, so I bought like this pond tarp that you use to build ponds, and instead I built a small pond for my rear subframe in order to make a electrolyte bath for that. It took some time, but eventually it was a lot cleaner. So it was treated with epoxy primer. Coming into the reinforcement areas, so here you see the sway bar end link connections that have been reinforced. So I just welded on a piece of angled iron. The white is it's another epoxy primer, and eventually they were painted red, and the boots were removed, cleaned, and I added new grease for the ball joints. I used energy suspension bushings wherever they existed. So here all of them are laid out and eventually installed. Then, like most Supra owners of the Mk3, there is a requirement that you reinforce the mid beam where you have the front differential mounting points. So here I did it with CAD, cardboard aided design. It works quite well. So I made a few templates and then cut them out of I think it was rather thick steel. Can't remember how thick, but I made several holes in those metal pieces in order to be able to have more, not just the edges that are welded to the subframe, but we have some intermediate welding points as well. Of course, I had to primer this again, and this time I got the white primer epoxy still, and it started to rain, so I made a small tent, and then it got to dry, and eventually I put a black top coat on it. And here you also see the subframe being installed with the aluminum bushes. And here is the second reinforcement of the arms holding the end links. I read somewhere that the arms were prone to snap off where they meet the end holding the bushings. So I made 4 of these plates and welded it. So I don't think it will ever come loose. So here you see the stock brake calipers, and I believe one of the slide pins were broken, so I replaced it somehow, but they have this nice yellow paint job which was done on top of rust, and it wasn't on the complete parts, so they went into the bath. And after, here is what it looks like. So I had sink parts in the bath, so the steel becomes black. The paint just if there's rust underneath the paint and the fluid can get to the rust, then the paint would just flake off. I did wire brush these before painting them. I painted them on 2 occasions, and it's Foliatech, a 2-part paint. I like it a lot. I even have an extra set. And before going into the idea of using Mercedes brakes and Lancer Evolution 8 brakes, I received this set of Volkswagen Touareg brakes. I wanted to install these. So these are aluminum, but they have a mix of magnesium, and they had some moist in the cardboard boxes that they were sitting in, so they didn't look pretty at all. But after a round of sandblasting, they did. These are actually also painted red. I also have another set of brake calipers, but that's for a later date. Here you see one of the big orders that I got from the US, and what I used for the fuel system is the stainless steel coil you see underneath in one of the plastic bags, which then is my fuel lines. The stainless braided is for oil. The fuel tank that I had was not good at all. It had a lot of rust and was broken. It was rust holes in some spots. I was able to source this second-hand tank. I cleaned it off completely, and I saw that the condition was better than the one I had. So I painted it with epoxy primer, and eventually I also added a coat of the same paint that I used on the underbody of the car. So this rubber-based paint. One of the things you didn't see in the picture where I showed you the big shipment from the US was these packages, which contain a Megasquirt 3 with the MS3X expansion board. Also an intake air temp sensor. For sniffing out the exhausts, I'm using an Innovate O2 sensor. It's LC1, and I've used this one in my previous turbo car and was happy with it, so why not continue. And I've also added the gauge to the setup. In order to test the assembled Megasquirt box, I have both Megastim and GymStim, meaning that I can test a lot of different stuff. I guess this is the area that most of you are interested about or interested in. As you saw in a few previous pictures, and as well as in this one, the engine has been somewhat stock, but one of the first orders contained this Squirtified replica intercooler. It's cast aluminum end tanks, but worked good for a while. I had this Canton oil adapter, and you also see that I have hockey pucks for engine mounts. Here you see the other part of my oil system, which since then have been changed, because to the right, just in front of the intercooler, you see the thermostat, and this one, as well as the filter mount, as you see in the middle, they are from Permacool, and they are cast aluminum, and they are bad, very bad. It was too easy to crack the material, and which caused an oil leak, and I tried to weld it, but I broke a fuse in the garage, so that didn't work. Another thing that came quick was the exhaust. So this is built by me, 3-inch, not stainless. The but I'm saving that still. And I made my own divided downpipe. So there is a tab which goes inside the turbine housing that it doesn't completely block, because that's hard to do, but it does steer the exhaust gases so that the main outlet goes in the 3-inch pipe, and when the wastegate opens it has its own pipe. Just trying to lower the turbulence directly after the turbine, while still being on stock ECU. I had to I had to make my own intake pipe, and there are many connections on it, and I didn't want to overdo it, so this is done in an evening. And the reason for this is that the stock intake pipe, which is out of rubber, it was a bit broken, so I ran the risk of losing a piece of rubber which could go into the compressor, and if that would happen then the turbo would break, and I didn't want that. Like most car enthusiasts, you have an engine failure, and this was a head gasket failure. But it's not like it was completely my fault. I was on Megasquirt and I was troubleshooting the ignition because I had ignition blowout as soon as I got into boost. It turned out to be a faulty ignition coil, so the coil had a crack in it, so that when it was discharging it would actually discharge to an engine component instead of through the spark plug. So it takes the route of least resistance. I accidentally locked the ignition timing, the computer battery ran out, and I just went home and didn't realize that I was running the car with fixed timing. So eventually I had a waterfall going over the car, meaning the coolant was pushed out. This was then confirmed after taking out the engine and taking it apart. It's very easy to see where the problem is. That can be fixed, as you see here, and I will go into more detail about this in a later episode, but the long block has Arias pistons, one oversized dimension, and I have a HKS metal layer head gasket. One of the bigger things that I've done on the engine side is making my own intake manifold, FFIM front facing intake manifold, and I made it so that the alternator can remain in stock position. And here you can see me doing some testing. Once that was completed, I welded everything so that I only had the weld between the plenum and the runner section to do. So everything on the inside is it's not smooth, because you want like a golf ball. If you can get the dimples on a golf ball on the inside of the intake, then that's the best. But it's sandblasted to make sure that everything is clean, Here is the reason why I built my own intake manifold. I got a bigger turbo. So this is a KKK K27, so basically an S200 or similar size as HX35 from Holset. I got a spare compressor cover, so I practiced a bit of aluminum welding on that one, because the entrance to the compressor cover was broken, so that's why I got it for free together with the turbo. And when you have another turbo, then you need a different manifold. The stock manifold is I guess it's okay, and I had added an EGT temp sensor, exhaust gas temp sensor in the collector, so where all the runners meet up before they enter the turbo. But I wanted something better, so I went with drift motion stainless steel T4 manifold, and I added EGT connections on all the runners. I also made some reinforcements, and I then wrapped the entire manifold and coated it with design engineering something. And since this is T4 and the turbo, the K27 turbo that I have is T3, I also made my own adapter. Since I don't have neither the stock ignition setup or the stock routing of the intake pipes, I wanted to have a cleaner looking valve covers. So I welded some aluminum pieces where you have the cutout for the ignition, stock ignition coils. I'm still not done with that, but eventually, sometime, hopefully. We are using many different tools, power tools, that are dangerous, and despite using them regularly for 5 years, I made a mistake, and my friend wanted to play ambulance, so he got to drive me into the nearest hospital, and I guess I was the dirtiest guy there. They were laughing a bit. Maybe they thought my pants were very stylish. They were kind and stitched me up. So it was 13 stitches in total. And here you see where I made a mistake. I was cutting one of the screws holding the lower control arm, and the angle grinder it kicked back, and then it ran over my arm with a cutting disc. That was not so good, but it could have been worse, so I'm happy that it only did this. And I seem to have good healing flesh, so it went quite okay, and I have a scar for life, and something that tells me to be careful. It makes it harder to shower, because you need to cover up the stitches and so on, and I was in better shape back then, and my mother removed my stitches when it was time to remove them. After this I got the appropriate t-shirt, and It says, for you who don't speak Swedish, it says that real men shave their balls with an angle grinder. After this I went and bought this angle grinder, which has kickback stop. And even if this accident isn't because of my Supra or the work on my Supra, it affected my work with the Supra and also schoolwork, etc. A lot. I was snowboarding and dislocated my collarbone, and I've spoken about this in other episodes, and it's dislocated of 3rd degree. And here you see Martin, the guy in the yellow cap that you saw before. So this is I think it's 2:45 in the morning, and since I couldn't drive, he had to drive me around, and he was kind enough to do that. But I had some surgery, and since then I have 2 buttons inside my body. Unfortunately, the surgery didn't help. It was too late. The idea is that you tie down the collarbone towards the shoulder blade, and the ligaments that are broken off or torn off, they are trying to find something to attach to. So when you pull down the collarbone, the ligaments will find each other, and they will sort of heal together. But then you still have the thread from the collarbone to the shoulder blade that holds everything in place. So the theory is that even if I were to redo the same accident, I would not experience the same damage. But I think my ligaments, they got tired and healed too quickly, so the collarbone is pointing up. So I want to start this outro speech by saying to my parents that I'm sorry that I kept this secret from you. It's not a good thing to do it like that. In the end, it would have been a lot easier to just tell you about it. But yeah, I can't change the past. We just have to keep moving forward. And for all of you who, besides my parents, who are watching this, try and explain, if you're in a similar situation, try and explain it. Even if I was over 18 and so on, I was still in school. I was still living with my parents, so and I respect my parents, so I follow their rules. But I secretly sort of broke this. Don't do that to your parents. It's better to be honest. Yeah, so the Supra was something that I had to do. At the time I didn't see any other way, and since I bought it, then I also need to take care of it and take responsibility for that. I can't just buy something and think that people are respecting others' property, because, well, that's a dream world. And also, if I were to move forward, then I couldn't be with the previous cars. I was working outside, no matter if it was summer, spring, fall, winter. I would just be on the ground working on the cars. I remember one time when it was raining a lot. The water was flooding in through my jacket at my neck, and then out from my trousers or from my pants. So it was a lot of water. But if I were to tackle a project like this, then where I need to do extensive rust removal, then I can't be doing it outside. So that's why I also decided to get the garage. And it was function over form. I knew that I wanted a straight 6. That's why I also were looking at the BMW. I wanted a sort of either a multi-link or a double wish arm setup, suspension, and preferably a differential which had some sort of locking. So in my Supra I have a LSD, limited slip differential, so it's clutches in it. And well, I found it in the Supra, and at an affordable price of eventually. If I would have gone with either a newer Supra or a Skyline or something like that, then the prices are completely different and it wouldn't be obtainable for me. But this was, and it's something that I've grown with, and which is one of the bigger reasons why I'm doing this, because I want to evolve, learn new things and so on. And looking back at all this is what's given me a career, and also with the support of my parents, of course. It's not just cars. My parents are the ones who have, if they couldn't open the doors, they would have at least pointed me in the direction so that I could open the door myself, which they sort of did with my first car. Yeah, as you realized now, I haven't gone into much detail about each area. There is a lot more to go through. This was just like a quick, what I collected after a quick view in among all my photos. So up until a few years ago, before starting this YouTube channel, I was able to go to the garage many times per week. But then things happened which made my life a little bit worse, and I didn't have the energy to do this as much. So what the YouTube channel is doing for me is it's giving me a motivation to go to the garage, to try and do something productive. Because even if this is a hobby, this is also a way for putting theory into practical work. So about the engines, about metallurgy, chemistry, etc., etc. That's how I'm learning. And of course, if you are commenting or liking or subscribing more, then it's a bigger motivator. But still, you are a few who are watching my episodes, so I'm thankful for that, because it is a motivation for me. But eventually I will be able to create the episodes where I go through more of my previous work. I've started to sort the images, so this is just like the images you've seen is just skimming the top. I also have videos, not so much, but I do have a few of the special moments. And they will come eventually. But if you're still watching, then thank you very much. And if you're new, then I hope you will subscribe, maybe pressing that bell button so you can stay up to date with all my different projects. But until the next episode, and again, just thank you for 100 episodes just for the Supra. Amazing. But thanks again, and stay safe, take care, and bye bye.